It's finally confirmed to be coming to World of Tanks console, and of course we are talking about the Skoda T56, the Czech Tier 8 premium heavy tank that has the double pump, the one that really changed the game on World of Tanks PC. It's coming to console, and we've got loads of different information. We've also got news on when the Czech heavies will be coming into the game, confirmed by Wargaming, along with a whole host of questions and answers that Wargaming have provided for us, along with some information on what came into the game in addition to last week's update and stuff like that, after kind of like a bit of a recap on what came in. Now then, first things first, let's talk about what happened last week, because this is always good to get a recap, what the overall feelings were for the update, and of course we had the brand new season that came into World of Tanks, being the Steel Beast season. And with this we had the introduction of the Leopard 1A1, which is the German rank 100 reward that you will be able to check out some gameplay of. At the end of this video I'll link a video which showcases exactly what the Leopard 1A1 is like as the season rank 100 reward. We've also got the Skoda T45, which will be coming tomorrow as of the recording of this video, and you'll be able to see exactly what that tank plays like within the game and how to play it. And then also we had the introduction of the Wojciech the Bear Hero 3D Commander in the Ultimate Season Pass. We also had a whole host of other premiums that you can get your hands on. I think 2 tier 8 mediums, you can pick up a tier 5 medium, and also then a Sherman Grizzly as well. So there's lots of different premium tanks that you can pick up as part of this. I think in total there's 5 premium tanks if you include the Leopard 1A1. And of course, if you purchase the Ultimate Season Pass, you can get essentially 6 premium tanks, all from one Season Pass, which is really, really good from the idea of content and being able to kind of get loads of different things within the game. And then in addition, we also have the 50% extra XP and silver on every battle you play in vehicles of the Progetto, Manticore and T125 line, so you'll be able to still take advantage of that up until Tuesday, I think, at which it then refreshes. It may even be 2 weeks of that, so make sure that you're playing in these tanks to try them out, and also get to the tier 10, so you'll basically get 50% more XP and silver on all of the tanks in the line right now on the game. And then if you have been completing the Guardian STG Earn Challenge, then there's another week of that, and that I think has 4 weeks worth. You have to complete all of them and then you can get the Guardian STG itself, and obviously the keycards got changed as well. Then, one of the biggest things from last week was the introduction of World War II vehicles, updated to use multiple weapon systems. So we had the T1 Heavy, the M6, the Vasila KV4K, and the KV4K Standard. We had the Maus and the E100, and we actually did a full video on the E100 with the kind of addition of the 7.5cm gun that can be fired in cohesion with the standard gun, so you can effectively fire one, switch to the other and keep on firing, and then switch back to the main one once that's reloaded, so it's always really, really good. We also then had maximum of 1 artillery per platoon, which is fantastic in terms of a balance point, and hopefully there'll be less artillery playing all at once. And then we had class-based matchmaking now full time, and what that means is that no longer is it, well, it aims to basically put you where you have 5 heavies on one team against 5 heavies on the other, and this matchmaker prioritizes balancing the tier and class of the vehicles as to be equal as possible for both teams. And basically that has been introduced over a period of multiple tests, and that's now fully in the game and will be until maybe they make a change or decide that maybe it doesn't work or whatever might happen. It's in the game for the long term. Then we also had quality of life, additional dynamic detailed stats and stat support, camouflage being able to be actually purchased for silver, which was amazing, and a load of the radial commands added in, so cover me, need a target, defend this position, and no shot that also returned back into the game, and currency changes for garage slots, permanent emblems, inscriptions and flags. So that's what I was talking about by instead of having to pay gold, now you can pay silver, which is always good. Spectator improvements, we also had remastered maps, which were Nom and Hon. Of course, let me know in the comment section down below what you think of Nom and Hon and Dragon Ridge now that they've been updated to the newest version, to the Xbox One kind of version where the graphics are slightly better. So let me know, and of course PS4 and PS5 and Xbox Series X, etc. But let me know what you think of these new maps, well, remastered maps I should say, and there'll be another map coming soon, and I'll let you know in a minute what that map will be. And they also did a few balance changes to some of the maps. Now then, probably the bit of information that you want to know about right now is the upcoming, and that is the Skoda T56, the Tier 8 World War II Czech Heavy, and a Parax skin, which will be coming within the game. So this is really, really good. It will be coming on Tuesday. So if you want to pick up the Skoda T56, hopefully it will be at a reasonable price, and fingers crossed that that will be the case, because this tank on PC was insane when it first got released, and it still is now. And so if you can get your hands on this tank, I really do recommend you trying it out. Maybe wait until you see a few videos from either, myself, Ricky, or any of the other content creators, see what they think of the actual tank itself before you purchase it, before you spend the money, because maybe it's terrible on console as opposed to PC, because typically World of Tanks console will reduce the ability of the tanks before they bring them in, if they have seen that tanks maybe were a little bit too strong on the PC version of World of Tanks. So yeah, just keep an eye out. Hopefully it will still be in a competitive bracket and will be fun to play. Nonetheless, moving forward, we also have the string theory back into the game. So this is really, really important for those of you that want to be grinding through the tech tree lines. If you're interested in just earning a absolute ton of XP within your games, it will be coming back to the game. And essentially, string theory, as with every time that this comes out, essentially you can get 5 times XP if you can back-to-back win 5 games in a row. If you back-to-back 4 games in a row, you'll get 4 times XP, 3 games in a row, 3 times XP, 2 games in a row, 2 times XP, and then yeah, if you only win 1 game in a row, you're getting just a standard amount. But it does cap out at 5 times, so if you won 25 games in a row, you don't get 2,500 times XP. It would just be like, yeah, it would still be 5 times XP. So you're capped at 5 times XP, but if you keep on winning past 5 wins, you will continue to get the 5 times XP, so that's always good. And you can get, trust me, upwards of like 20,000 XP if you get a 5 times XP, plus another 5 times XP boost that you might have saved up from the season pass rewards, etc. And so yeah, it can be ridiculous the amount of XP you can earn in one singular game. And of course, don't forget that this counts towards the challenges for the chisel and the machine and all of the various different extra operations that you can have within World of Tanks. And then we also have Golden Week challenges where you can win keycards, boosters, emblems and more, where you can get cosmetics as well. These tanks will also be available for free XP, so for those of you wanting to pick up some tanks for free XP, maybe you've saved up a load, you can get the T95E3 and T55A on Cold War. You can also pick up on World War II the Bisonte, the T50-2, this one is amazing. Then you have the T3485M, which was recently given out as part of an operation. So I'm sure not that many of you will actually buy that one. And then we have the Dreadnought KV2, which is insane as a tier 7 with like 700 alpha, crazy. And then we have the Bear KV122, which is good. The KV4K TTS, which is the one that has the multi-turreted or multi-barreled, even though Wargaming call it a multi-turret, you know what I mean. Essentially that will be used within this. And yeah, I don't think it's necessarily very good. And then we've also got the Rover T237 or 237. We've then got the T95E2, the Minuteman, Super Hellcat, Panther 88, Sturm VK. We've got the E25, the Chinukai, the Warlord Panther, STA2, Heavy Tank number 6, which is the Japanese Tiger basically, and then the Lanson C, which is all interesting. There's definitely quite a few in there that are maybe worth it if you've got the free XP saved up to actually purchase. But other than that, moving forward, we have the Heavy Tank Mastery Challenge beginning. training, which will mean that every single week there'll be some challenges that you have to complete in heavy tanks. If you've looked at any of the medium tank mastery challenges where you could essentially get like 3 million silver for completing a set of objectives that Wargaming kind of denote out for you to be able to complete, which is really, really good. It's beneficial for everyone in terms of playing the game, and especially if you play heavy tanks. And then also the contract for the Bulwark comes out. We've got next contracts being the Sharpshooter and Plaguebringer, which is really, really good. And also the next tanks reforged is the Sturmpanzer line. So the Sturm line, including things like the Sturmpanzer, you've got the Bar, you've got things all the way up from the very beginning of the Sturm line, which is the derp German tank destroyers, which will look to be very, very interesting indeed. And they'll be receiving improved frontal armour to increase survivability, and they'll also be reducing the impact that rotation has on your dispersion, so you'll be more accurate with the narrow gun arc, and also the increased armour might help a little bit, but I don't know how much they're going to buff the armour. We'll just have to wait and see. And then in addition to this, the Fangula and AE Phase 1 will be getting improved reload and gun handling. The AMX Chaffee, which is the tank that I've always said has way too little health, will be increased from 670 off the top of my head to 800, so that's a really nice one, putting it in line with all of the other tier 7 light tanks in the game, because of course it was a tier 6, they then buffed it, but well, not buffed it, but they put it up a tier, did absolutely nothing to the tank, and then it just remained there where it had tier 6 hit points, well, tier 6 light tank hit points in a tier 7 games, well, tier 9 games. So yeah, definitely a good change for them to increase the health, and it will make the AMX Chaffee actually maybe usable now, as opposed to being a tank that kind of suffered very heavily by being able to be hit a couple of times and then you're out of the game. It didn't give you much room for error, which made it a very high skill cap tank, but not very accessible for the majority of players that could play it. And then we had the Freedom and Super Pershing getting an increased engine horsepower to have a better power to weight ratio, which is amazing. I cannot wait to jump in the Super Pershing. It's a tank that I've been wanting to review for the longest time on console. I've tried it out with the engine power boosts and all of the other things that you can put in the game, but it still feels slow. Hopefully we'll get something that resembles the PC World of Tanks version of the Super Pershing, because that actually looks like it's in a very playable position. And if you wanted to check out the Super Pershing and what can be done on the PC version with the increased horsepower that they've got, then I've made a video on the second channel, which is a World of Tanks PC dedicated channel for looking at replays and stuff like that you can check out. And I really do implore any of you that are interested in just in general learning about World of Tanks, it's a good channel to kind of have a look at and discover what other variants of World of Tanks there are, and how people can have way different gameplay with different tanks that are same on console but on the PC version instead. So there you go, it's out there. If you want to look at that, you can look in the description down below where the link to the second channel, the PC channel, will be there. And then obviously we've then got the new World War Tech Tree Czech heavies coming in the first week of May, and join us next week for all of the details. So as soon as the details come out, I will be launching a video showing you everything that you need to know about these Czech heavies, all of the things that come out with them, maybe some of the big updates, maybe the changes that are different between the PC and the console version, because obviously the PC version has the Czech heavies right now and have had for multiple months, I think maybe even a year that they've been in the game. So the VZ55 will be coming to console in the first week of May. So this is looking really, really beneficial. I'm loving the fact that all of this content's coming out, and we'll be looking at all of it. And then in addition, there will be some fixes whereby it's just looking at a couple of different things. I'm not going to run through them all. Essentially, they're minor changes that will hopefully be able to give you an idea as to some of the changes that Wargaming are hoping to make. They're just little graphical issues or gameplay issues that they're kind of fixing. So you can pause the video, have a look at those if you want to, and as well as the weekly shout out as well, where you can see what players have managed to do over the last week in terms of the amount of battles they've played. 110,000 battles played this week by Mex Acadian 1, which is just insane, and 100,000 by Say Chaos, but we won't go through them all. There's loads, but of course you can pause it there and see if you made it to the list. other than that, what else is coming on? Well, investigating class-based matchmaking, observed issues with light tanks not being class balanced, which is probably no surprise there. They're keeping an eye on the newly released T95E257, which was sitting at a 67% win rate yesterday. Seems to be to normalise, although still a bit high at 55.6%. And the Marks of Excellence survey, next steps. Pain God will have more on this next week. The answers need to be reviewed by the team. Thank you everyone that submitted a reply. And I think right now we'll just swap over to the actual poll itself so you can get an idea as to what the feedback actually was. So here's the feedback. You can see that it's only like the community want the old system back for Marks of Excellence as opposed to the new one, 10-1 essentially. So it looks like it's heavily, and I mean heavily, in favour of people voting for the old system of Marks of Excellence, where it is dependent on the map that you're playing, not just whatever the average damage is using the tank that you're playing, because essentially, if you get a light tank and you're continuously playing like 5 games on very specific town maps, then of course you're not going to be able to deal with the damage that maybe someone who got Malinovka, or they managed to get Prokhorovka, or all of the open maps where you can use light tanks. At this current moment in time, essentially the difference is the old system looked at the map that you were on and said, what is the average for the map? And therefore, if you did better than the average for the map, you would go up on your Marks of Excellence. If you did worse than the average for the map itself, then you'd go down. Whereas the new system looks at what is the average for all of the maps in the game, and then did you do more than that? Or what is the average for, or did you do less than the average, and therefore you'll go down on your Marks of Excellence? It didn't look at individual map basis, which is why Marks of Excellence are much harder right now, and why maybe you were a player that has like 100% on your Marks of Excellence, maybe you're the best player in the tank, but maybe you got 3 games where you're playing in Himmelsdorf in a row, where you play one Himmelsdorf game, then you get like a terrible map where you can't do anything in your light tank, and then you get another Himmelsdorf map, which could be very, very terrible for you. So there's always that. Hopefully they kind of revert back to the actual the map-based system rather than this new system that they've currently got in the game. The next section of this video is probably quite an interesting topic for this one, and it is the questions, and there are some good questions submitted to Wargaming, and their answers to them have been quite good in terms of like giving us a clear and concise answer to what we've all been asking. And the first one is, will premium ammo and consumables also become silver only now? And essentially what Wargaming have said is that it will be staying the same as it is for time being, but they will be reviewed at some point and considered, because essentially you can buy your ammunition with either gold or silver. If you're a new player, I feel like a lot of the times maybe you don't understand that you shouldn't spend gold on your ammunition, so it's kind of like a cheap shot by Wargaming by even having it there. You can still pay for silver using gold anyway, but it kind of ends up with a lot of new players spending gold that maybe they put on the game on ammunition, thinking it was a good idea, and then they realise like, oh no, why the hell did I just spend all my gold on ammunition when I could have just bought a premium tank which would have earned me silver, which would have made it much better. It just feels a little bit outdated to me at this current moment in time. Like, yeah, it's just not something that I've kind of feel is necessary anymore to even have the option for paying for gold for your ammo. But Wargaming obviously still think that this is how it's going to be, and it probably stay that way for a long, long time. Anyway, now they've also come in with, could you introduce the Yo tanks, track mechanics to tanks like the Object 279E and the AE Phase 1. Obviously, whoever put this in is just trying to troll. Like, imagine what it was like if you could track the Object 279E, but then it continues moving forward because you haven't destroyed all of the tracks, and so yeah, it might be moving slightly slower, but yeah, that just should never come into the game. The Object 279E is fine where it is. It's not super overpowered. It's not terrible. It's in a okay spot for the type of tank that it is and how overpowered it could be, especially if you're trying to bring in track mechanics like this. So hopefully they will not be bringing that in for the Object 279E. AE Phase 1, I don't know how this tank will fare if they introduce that into the game, but I guess we'll have to wait and see what they do with the Yo tanks, although Wargaming have specifically said that Yo tanks are in the pipeline. They're going to do it for console, but there is no timeline, and to me that basically screams it's going to be over a year before they introduce anything like the Yo tanks, because up first is the multi-turreted tanks. They've also said that they will be doing the double barrel tanks as well for the Russian or Soviet tank line that will be coming into the game as well. So in that order, I would expect the multi-turret tanks, the double-barreled, and then they will probably might even look at another tank line dependent on Cold War and stuff like that before they introduce the Yo tanks, at which point, you know, you may even have another tank line that might come in. So that's kind of that question. And then also, what is the next set of maps? The next maps should be Siegfried Line. So this is a map that is actually a really good one. I've always found Siegfried Line a good one. I think it will be interesting to see how Wargaming have updated it, whether they've actually made any specific changes to the map or just released it as it was. And I think that if they release it as it was, it will be absolutely fine. Hopefully they haven't made too many significant changes for the sake of it, because don't fix what ain't broke. Anyway, yeah. Next map. Siegfried Line. And then can we have more premiums with free XP bonuses? The T-32A Proto was the last one and feels like it was a long time ago. This is going to be looked at to see if it can be made possible. Don't know how they're going to do that, whether or not they will be doing that. And yeah, I don't quite see the much of a point, to be honest, because free XP is such a low amount anyway. So like playing a tank purely to get free XP is just not worth it. You'd be better off playing the tech tree tank itself to earn the actual XP rather than just trying to grind out a load of free XP on another tank. So yeah, there's not much point in a free XP bonus premium. And then we have any chances on getting colourful mini-maps again is on the wish list. A ticket is going to be filed for this. Stay tuned for more information on it. So don't know what they're going to do with the coloured mini-maps. Hopefully we get an option. Don't just flat out roll out something that you think looks great, but actually 99% of the people think it look terrible. Hopefully we get kind of a poll like we showed earlier with the Marks of Excellence, where you can kind of say, do you like map looking A, or do you like the map looking like B, and then you vote A or B as to which you prefer, and then the majority wins and they can go down that route. Anyway, now, question 6. Can we expect new hero/special skins for other tier 10 tanks? The Chieftain Mark 6 concept was shown. Tune in for next week for the next concept. So we're looking at Chieftain Mark 6 concept skin that was shown on stream by Wargaming. These skins were picked from the poll the community voted on, and so it's looking like we will be seeing some new tier 10 tank skins, which are really, really good. I always like the skins. I think they're a good addition. Then we have you tested any extreme weather on any map with the new console as a test? Priority 1 is bringing back maps. Weather variants are on hold for the moment until the majority of maps are back. And for me personally, as my personal opinion on weather variants, I think they're just terrible. I think, they're just, in my opinion, they're awful. I thought having tier 2 view range in your tier 10 tank just promoted basically playing a high alpha tank and camping. Like, that's pretty much what weather variants are. Unless you want to be like a super aggressive light tank and use camo as your light tank to be able to get spotting damage. It's like very much in the extremes of like, you can either be a very aggressive tank to be able to get loads of spotting, or if you want to have an amazing damage game, you could just camp in a very high priority area on the map and therefore just farm a load of damage. So yeah, I didn't really like them. I thought that they just removed so much out of the core game that it made it kind of like boring to play, and it's a lot of it's either a camp fest or you just hope that you don't get taken out before you get into a super aggressive position. So yeah, I didn't really like weather variants at all. And then any plans on introducing collector's tab where we could buy old tech tree tanks for silver? This can be looked into by the team, so this is looking really interesting. You know, like the black market on the World of Tanks PC, looks like Wargaming on console are potentially looking into that. And I think that that will be a really good addition, maybe once in a year where this comes out, like the black market, where essentially you can buy premium tanks for silver, but they are very high amounts of silver. Like, you'd be looking at like 6 million silver to purchase premium tanks and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it would be a good addition, especially if they just like release old premium tanks like the Super Pershing or stuff like that. Maybe they could introduce like you can buy it with silver or you could buy it with gold for this old premium tank that's just been buffed, that we've changed a little bit and makes it a little bit more competitive in today's meta, which brings about a little bit of hype. And also it means that people can either pay for it with real money or pay with their silver, and just gives them the option. And then we have another bit of information on ribbons, which I know loads of you actually like within the game. They are being worked on in-game. It's on Pain God's list to do. So ribbons are coming back into World of Tanks console. We're also getting Wojciech tactical gear. This was a concept for a future skin for him, but it's on hold for now. Cross progression, is this possible? Not at current moment due to restrictions in place. So I'm assuming that cross progression, I don't know if this is like where they mean like on your Russian tanks you can basically earn XP on another tank in the Russian tech tree. I don't know. Or whether they mean like on Cold War, if you've got the same tank on the World War II mode and you've got a same tank on the Cold War mode, that you could essentially get both tanks on both modes using the same amount of XP. So therefore you don't have to like unlock both of them on both modes. But I don't think Wargaming will do that, and they've said not at the current moment due to the restrictions in place. So whether they mean cross progression on the platform or whether they mean between the two game modes, I'm not entirely sure. Obviously, if you watch the stream itself, you'll be able to let me know in the comments section down below, and we can get a discussion on that and whether you think that would be a good thing or a bad thing. But yeah. And then finally, we have got the images. Obviously you saw the Perak skin here for the Skoda T56, but we've also got the normal skin for the tank. It's a double pumper. It does like 920 alpha damage in one clip. It has 2 shots. I think it reloads an inch clip reload of about 2.5 seconds, which is pretty quick for 460 alpha per shot. And it means that, yeah, this tank is really disgusting to play against and super, super fun on PC to actually play. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what they do with that. Obviously, if you have any questions, queries or comments that you think about these updates and what came out and with the new season, and of course if you want to check out the update news for the season itself that came out last week, then you can check out this video on the left. And if you want to check out the E100, all of the different tank reviews and gameplay reviews for the newest tanks, including the Leopard 1A1, the E100, and hopefully the Skoda T45 tomorrow. That will be on the right hand side of the screen. Other than that, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I hope you enjoyed. Goodbye.